So hi, welcome to the Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Brian Audley from Incendiary.
And we have some questions to say about their upcoming album, Change the Way You Think About Pain. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Thank you. It's been amazing. Feels really good to get this out there. We recorded it about a year ago in the spring. So we were sitting on it for a while and keeping it pretty close to the chest. So it's been exciting to finally get it out there and start getting some feedback.
Oh yeah, the album rips.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank you. Oh, cool. I didn't realize you guys had heard it by now.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Jamming it this morning.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah, definitely. So the album title was just a phrase that Brendan and I, our singer, came across a few years ago prior to the record, being written or anything like that. It was just a phrase we had kind of come across, and we kind of like dog-eared that. And we're like, oh, that would be cool to use like for something. And we always kind of had it in the back of our mind. And then, when we were going into the record, or actually when we were done with the record, we were like trying to think of titles and kicking stuff around, and like nothing was topping that. So we were like, let's just use it. Let's go with that. With the artwork, we were really lucky and fortunate to get Daniel Danger, an artist and an illustrator that, I had personally kind of like had my eyes on for a while. He was down to do the artwork, and he's a pretty like in demand and established artist. So once we found out that he was down and he was interested in working with us, like the whole thing kind of came together. Like I was able to kind of picture it in his style. And yeah, it was, largely based on the album title and like one specific song in particular. I think it's track 6 or 7 on the record, called Collision. That was kind of giving me the strongest visual images based on the lyrics. So I kind of tried to articulate that to Daniel, give him some things that stood out, and ultimately just let him do his thing, because that's what we wanted was his thing. And we couldn't be happier with how it came out. I personally like and always try to approach the visuals for Incendiary as like sonically, it's so kind of like heavy and aggressive that visually I like to kind of like contrast that. I don't want it to look like a metal record and be, red and black with skulls and blood and stuff like that. I like to have it. Yeah. I like that kind of like juxtaposition. So he understood the assignment, ran with it, and we're stoked. We couldn't be happier.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
Yeah, sure. So, it's been a long time since we released anything. It'll be 6 years when this record comes out. And, writing is something that, was always kind of like a daunting thing for us. All of us work, full-time career jobs outside of this band. So prior to the pandemic, that meant we could get together, maybe once a week, when everybody's been tired from commuting and working and all that. And it wasn't super, conducive to being a creative space, and you weren't able to get as much momentum. But one of the silver linings of the pandemic is, without being able to play shows and get out there and do the things that we were doing with the band previously, I still wanted to put the same amount of like time and energy into the band. And if that wasn't playing live shows, for a year or two, that became writing and getting together to rehearse and practice and write. That those practices that were previously daunting became like the most exciting thing we had going on that week, right? So yeah, it was fun. Dan, our drummer, and I started getting together in like June of 2020. Once things started feeling a little safer here in New York, we started getting together in like June. The other guys joined in around December, January-ish, and then we kind of committed at that point to, we're going to do another full LP based on the material we had by then.
Hell yeah. So the pandemic was kind of a blessing in disguise for you guys, in the sense of like finally able to kind of hunker down on this.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways, I don't want to say it wouldn't have been possible if not for the pandemic, but it definitely helped us find time that maybe we otherwise didn't have. And in hindsight, looking back on it, I think it's kind of cool to have something to like show for that time. It definitely gave me kind of a sense of purpose and something to be working on and working towards when we had all that time on our hands. And yeah, it's cool like listening back to it and be like, all right, this is like where we were at and like what we were going through during that time. And we'll always have this record to kind of document that.
That's awesome.
For sure. So you guys wrote this in 2020, late 2020?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
God damn. And then
started writing. That's when we kind of got serious and like, some ideas we had kicking around. We really kind of like committed to like, okay, we're like writing for a record now, and became a lot more strict and diligent with practices and really trying to commit to that idea and set some type of timeline and really like make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. And then was there kind of like a learning curve, just kind of getting back into that flow and kind of setting those boundaries and restrictions for you guys to start writing?
Not really. No. I mean, we've been a band for like, I don't even like over 15 years at this point, which may surprise some people. There was definitely a number of those early years that nobody really cares or cares about or remembers. But we've been a band for a long time and worked with each other for a long time. So once we started doing it, like it all came back. Everybody kind of fell into their role and knew what they had to do.
Good. That's the answer I wanted.
Yeah.
So what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Took longest to write. Let me start with my personal favorite.
Okay.
I think I have a really hard time in general, like narrowing things down to like one singular thing. I'm better at kind of like top 3 or top 5. I think the first thing that come to my head is Live Liberty. That's going to be, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but that's going to be like the third and final single we release from this before the full record comes out. Just from like, from like a songwriting perspective, I was really happy with the arrangements. One of the things we really tried to do with this record to show some growth was to kind of refine the songwriting. And what I mean by that is like, instead of just like a bunch of like ideas next to each other and parts next to each other that sound good, thinking about it like more as like one focused, complete thought. Like, okay, these songs are going to have like a defined chorus and a defined, pre-chorus and an idea that kind of carries through from the beginning to the end. And I really think we did that with this song. I'm really happy with the arrangement. And I also, it feels to me like the most different song on the record. The beginning is a little more like rock and rolly, I guess, as far as Incendiary material goes. But like, I like a lot of that stuff. And like, I feel like this song really kind of captures a lot of my influences that may not have been captured in other songs.
Yeah.
And like it puts it through an Incendiary lens. Like the beginning of it reminds me of like a Nirvana type riff with like a 108 type lead over it. And that's really like a good snapshot of like a lot of the range of like, heavy rock music that I'm into.
I love that. Oh
yeah.
And then which song took longest to write?
Yeah.
Maybe the last song. I mean, it's the longest song, like runtime. I think it's like 3.5 minutes, which is like epic for us. But
I saw it.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts and a lot of things that like the big pieces were there. But some of the parts to like, make them hit hardest and really maximize their potential took a bit of refinement. And we recorded with Will Putney again, and who's a absolute master of this stuff and really helped us kind of bring that stuff into focus and refine the material. And we did, for the first time, like a formal like pre-production process where, the first few days that we were working with him, we just worked on the songs, and kind of made the songs the best they could be and committed to those versions. So then when it was time to actually press record, we just executed on them. So I think the last track, the title track, Changed the Way You Think About Pain, probably took the most, but that was also a tie for the song that I'm my favorite song or another one I'm most proud of, because there's a lot going on, and I had like some very specific like references I was like chasing in that, and I was proud. I think we did it.
Oh yeah, I was laughing because I had the track list in front of me this morning while I was going through with the run times, and like every song it's like a 2-minute banger, and then you've got like this almost 4-minute track. I'm like, this is like a ballad for this fucking record. This is
We have a joke internally that like almost like, I don't know about almost all, but like many of our songs are in this like 2 minutes and 40-second range. So like when we're writing, we would always kind of like, you know, when it felt like it was like nearing completion, or is like, is this done? Like, do we need another part, or should we drop something? We would check the runtime, and if we were around 240, we're like, nope, we're good. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's also if you're just looking at the time, it's a little misleading. You know, it's the last track, so we kind of faded into some white noise to kind of punctuate the record and the track. But yeah, it's still like over 3 minutes, probably closer to 3.5 of actual music, which is pretty epic for us.
Hell yeah. So how did the track list for your album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Yeah, so that's something that was pretty interesting this time around. I'm definitely like an LP album guy, like both when I listen and when I'm putting one together. Like I take that sequencing seriously, and like the flow of the album as like a complete work is important to me. But I also kind of understand that might be in conflict with modern consumption of music, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's an argument that you have to like stack the record now with your strongest tracks in the front, because the attention spans are lower and you might lose people. So, you know, we tried to balance that, and ultimately I do think that we threaded that needle and kind of balanced both. It flows the way I wanted to as an album, and I think, you know, the stronger songs that we're really trying to spotlight that represent that album are towards the front. So hopefully, you know, it'll hook people and keep them interested all the way through to the end. The last song was like obviously the last song, I think, to all of us. It just felt like that was the only place for it to go. Not just because of the length, but it just, you know, sometimes you can just tell. It felt like the last song. The first song, we all agreed that the first song would be the first song that we like debuted from the record and shared from the record. I personally didn't. I had a different choice for the actual album opener. While I do think it was the strongest song on the record to lead with, I thought there was another choice that would have been a better album opener. But you know, it's a team decision. So I kind of chose my battle there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's the second song though, so
okay. You got close enough.
Yeah, it's kind of a win. Yeah.
For people listening, if you want to hear it Brian's way, just flip the first and second song.
Yeah. I'll give you the director's cut on a playlist after it comes out.
I love that. So, would you be able to tell us where Headspace is at while you're creating this record?
Yeah. You know, I mean, it was the pandemic, and I don't want it to sound like this is a pandemic record about that or whatever. But like, I would say like, it gave me like a sense of purpose. So it was something I was taking very seriously, because it felt like the most important thing I had to do during that time. You know, a lot of distractions that would prevent me from writing or working on music or just picking up the guitar while I'm at home were gone. So I really came to like to value that time. You know, I don't think I wouldn't say that like I was in like this like dark, crazy place or anything like that, but it's interesting to hear the record, which to me is our kind of like bleakest and like angry sounding record. So that almost kind of like tells me where I was at, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would have used those words to describe myself and where I was at during that, but like hearing the work that came out of it, I think that kind of says it.
So although like on the surface, like you felt all right, you thought that you were doing all right, you kind of like subconsciously let these emotions out.
Yeah, maybe. And you know, there was definitely like things I was trying to do with this record. Like I said, like I was really focusing on the songwriting and just making everything like sharper. That's the kind of word I keep coming back to describe this record and this material is like, it's just sharper. Like, you know, we're in aging hardcore band on our fourth LP. I think the expectation might be, we play a lot of these European festivals now. Like, I think the expectation, for a band in our position might be to get a little more, anthemic and whoa, whoa, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nah, we got to go in the other way. It's got to be harder, more aggressive, more like refined, and just like sharper.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And when we're talking about like this kind of subconscious, feelings and emotions kind of coming through, is that typically what happens like in your writing process, or is this kind of the first time?
I mean, I'm sure it's there somewhere. It's definitely not something I think about or like recognize in the moment. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just it just comes from like earworms. Like I'll hear a riff in my head or have an idea in my head, and it's just a matter of like getting it out and then like refining it until it's like the best version of itself. Or like, inspiration in other things I'll listen to and hear. We're like, oh, that's cool the way they went from like a part like that into a part like this. Like, I want to try to have like a part like that into a part like this,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's cool to me that like you're being honest about the fact that like the record is bleak, but like that wasn't necessarily my intention coming out of the gate, because so many artists are just like, I was in a dark place, like even if necessarily they weren't. Like, we're not one to tell, but that's just like everybody is like always just like, we were in this dark place when we asked them that question.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was in a darker place during that time.
Exactly.
So I think subconsciously, if anything, but it definitely wasn't like, I got a fucking bullet gun in my mouth like writing these songs. It wasn't anything like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
That's a cool question.
Thank you.
I mean, I know the way that I check out new music now is usually like on Friday morning on Spotify on the release radar. That's just the reality. So I would say I don't care how you listen to it. I would just ask that like try to listen to all of it at once and like get to the end of the record. If you like the songs that we've released up to this point, I think you'll enjoy the whole thing. But like I said before, like I'm an album guy, so regardless of how you listen to it, just try to listen to it all in one shot at least once to start.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Sharp, bleak, and angry.
Hell yeah.
Perfect.
Good job.
Love it.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
I don't think that you need to go into it with any type of emotion or anything that like you're looking to get out of it, but like go in with an open mind and like see what connects with you and see what hits you and see how you feel after.
Makes sense.
That's completely fair.
Yeah.
All right. So are you able to talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments from the creation of this album?
I mean, the record, I've said this before, but so this isn't like shocking, but like recording is like my least favorite part of doing all of this.
That's fair enough.
Playing live is obviously number one.
Of course.
Writing to me has become number two. Like it's a very fulfilling feeling when like an idea or a riff you've had in your head for as long as you've had it, you actually hear that played back to you for the first time, and it sounds as cool as you thought it was going to sound.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. But the recording process is always like, it's very I don't know. There's a lot to get caught up in there, and it's kind of like mentally like taxing.
Yeah.
But the last 2 records we recorded with Will Putney, and they were easily my 2 favorite recording experiences. This last one, he moved into this beautiful studio that is also part of his amazing home in Northern Jersey. And just like he made the whole thing so easy. Like it was a beautiful place to stay. Like we felt like we were just hanging out all the time. We got amazing work done. I really just like, and I was like kind of like aware of it at the time. I was like, man, this is like a special thing we're part of here and we get to do here. And the whole process was just something I'll always remember.
That's awesome.
Oh,
hell yeah. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop, what is your snack of choice?
Probably pizzeria pretzel combos.
Oh, damn. All right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think combos. It's the little like
Yeah, the little
yeah.
pretzel nugget log thing with filling inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, if I'm if I try to eat semi-healthy, so that's assuming I'm just being a bad boy. I'm probably getting one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the first thing. That's the first thing I think of.
Perfect. Have you had the buffalo ranch ones?
Yeah, those
buffalo
are
blue
good.
cheese.
Yeah. Also, they had they came out with a cheeseburger flavor within the last, not that recently, within the last 10 years or so, but it's scary how accurate it is. You can kind of taste, I can taste the pickle and I can taste the ketchup. You get a little bit of it, of everything in it.
I don't know if I want to taste that when I bite into a pretzel though.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
So they've come a long way. I've been riding with the combos team for forever.
Hell yeah. I got to get you a sponsorship for that, man. You got me intrigued.
That'd be great.
Oh my God.
If you know anyone, send them my way.
Right. I will. So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Probably a bagel, Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're from. We rep it. We're proud of that. I think Long Island's pretty synonymous with bagels. So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Mine would be an egg everything with veggie cream cheese.
Ooh,
that's good.
Damn right.
Where are you guys calling from, by the way?
I'm in New Jersey.
I'm in Virginia.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
I'm actually going to Long Island tomorrow. So I was going to say that Long Island is synonymous for two things: bagels and really bad traffic getting in there. Yeah, I am not looking forward to that drive.
Tell me about it, brother. What are you doing? What are you doing out there?
Water Parks has a meet and greet at Looney Tunes.
So cool. Looney Tunes is a fucking institution on Long Island.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm stoked. So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Last meal, there's this Greek restaurant I live in Brooklyn, not Greek, it's Mediterranean, called Dar, that has amazing falafel and this dish called muhammara, which is it's a hummusy texture and consistency, but it's made with ground nuts and red pepper, and it's delicious. I'd like one more of those before I go, and maybe wash that down with with an old fashioned.
All right, sounds
nice. Nice little buzz on if I'm going out.
Oh yeah,
perfect. All right. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
I was gonna. That's actually reality. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and that's sticking out to me. I'm having a hard time picking one part of the universe I'd want to live in.
Yeah.
But maybe Springfield. It'd be cool to live in the Simpsons world too. I'm a big Simpsons guy. That's one place. It's all there. I'd meet everybody. So yeah, Springfield.
All right. That's
good.
Perfect.
So I have honored of asking the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Nice.
You have a specific shade of blue?
Nah.
Just blue.
That's chill.
Yeah.
All right.
Fair enough.
That stems from Ninja Turtles. I like Leonardo.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So blue.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I like Leonardo.
So as I said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Just the new record. Fourth LP, Change the Way You Think About Pain, coming out Closed Casket Activities, May 26th. It's our fourth record, so thanks to anybody that's still rocking with us, anybody that just found us. I hope you enjoy it and can make it out to a show.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you for now. That's been Brian from Incendiary, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.